All right, Coach Dezotell, thanks for joining me today. It's great seeing you again.
Yeah, thanks very much. We're getting geared up for the season, and I've
Yeah,
listened to a few of the other interviews you've done, so happy to be here.
I'm definitely looking forward to the season. So now that I kind of have my sea legs underneath me, kind of knowing where to look, and so really excited. But really excited to talk to you today about just sort of where you're headed this fall, some of your thoughts, and so let's just jump right into it. I get the start. Like, when do you guys start? When is your? Because you NESCAC are weird. You guys are just. I categorize you as other, different, weird. So
Yeah, yeah. For better or worse, we are. Thankfully, the NESCAC athletic directors and presidents have now made the decision, at least for this year, but I think moving forward as well, to allow us to have the normal length of Division III soccer preseason. We still can't begin our season until the Tuesday after Labor Day. So this year, I think it's September 6th. Everything then factors in. So I think most programs probably arrive on the 16th or 17th or something like that. So our players come in on August 22nd. They have meetings and paperwork on the 23rd, and then our first training sessions can be on August 24th.
Oh, very good, very good. So you're getting a full preseason in rather than just jumping right into it.
Yeah, it used to be, and prior to me being here, so I didn't really experience it other than as a player 20 years ago. But it used to be 6 or 7 days from the day you arrived till the first real game you were playing, which is wild and unsafe and unhealthy. So this is a nice decision, and looking at sports science and using that to make some decisions is great.
It's probably going to throw you for a loop a little bit. Like, now you're going to have all this time. Like, what are you going to do with it? Like,
yeah, we had it last year, and to be fair, I've coached for whatever it is, 15, 16 years, not in the NESCAC, so I'll be just fine. But our players may be ready, and sick of preseason by the end of it.
Yeah. Welcome to what everybody else experiences.
Exactly.
So when you bring them in, what does your first day of camp look like? Like, do you just play, or do you jump right into either tactical or technical work?
Yeah, I think we roll the balls out really early. We'll play. I think we'll spend, certainly a major staple of our program is how important defending is, and so we'll truly probably the first session or two will be defensively focused and 1v1 and 2v2 defending and maybe some small group defending, just to really start the season off with our players understanding that arguably the single most important thing for us is to not give up goals, and that's a recipe for success. And this program for a decade has been built upon how important defending is, and we want to defend proactively and in a pressing system and with high energy and high up the field, and make defending fun and energetic and rewarding. But just to start that way, I do think we will likely play an 11-a-side game on that first day too. Probably in the evening, maybe under the lights. I wish I could say I was that planned out, but I'm not. We're still finding our feet here, and excited to get going. But we'll roll the balls out. The hope is that the players have put in the work physically throughout the summer. I try to get across to our guys. Certainly my philosophy is that preseason is not August 22nd, 23rd, 24th. Preseason is June and July for our players in our program. So fingers crossed, most of them have put in the physical work so that they're ready and raring to go. And so I don't plan on spending a lot of time certainly fitness focused or fitness oriented, because there's not enough time. And all you're doing at that point is potentially tiring out and fatiguing your players and getting them sore and closer to injuries prior to the season starting. So if guys haven't put in the work, I think the good and the bad of a program like ours and these other top programs that you speak to is, guys haven't put in the work, it probably just means they're not going to be getting that close to the field when the season starts. And always playing catch up throughout the next 3 months.
I've come to the conclusion that the worst thing you can do in preseason is a focus on fitness, just because of what it does to these guys' body. Because again, just going back to my experience, I remember by the first game, like, my legs, you're already just sort of like feeling like you've just been through the ringer and you haven't even started playing, right? And that's I think is a big issue. What? So this is like the open-ended, broadest possible question I can think of. Like, what? And you guys being who you are, right? Like, I mean, that's always something to consider, and being the NESCAC and all that. Like, what sort of expectations do you end up having for the group as you go into this fall season?
Yeah, I think the first part of, even what you said, like who we are, as far as I'm concerned, we're nobody. We're one of 400 Division III soccer teams, and so, each season is its own iteration. And I think our players, you want them to have confidence from knowing, the past and the history and success that the program have had, and the alumni have had, and guys that have come before them have had, and even some that some of our players have had, right, in previous seasons. But ultimately, forget about that. Everything's out the window. I think that's what makes this time of year so exciting, and preseason being exciting, those early season games being incredibly exciting, because nobody knows. And there's been plenty of teams that have been at or near the top that all of a sudden the next year they're nowhere near that. And plenty of teams have come out of the middle of the pack and found ways to jump into that upper echelon. So, for us, it's a little bit forgetting about the past and just making sure we're doing the daily work that it takes. And it sounds cliche and boring, but I still just, like, it's who I am as a coach. And I think it's how most top programs are operated on. Like, we're truly just going to focus each day, and we play September 6th against MIT, and so all of preseason we'll be preparing to play MIT on September 6th, and then when that game finishes, we'll focus on the next one, which happens to be Connecticut College, the national.
Connecticut. We were going to talk about that, because I'm like, you're jumping right in.
Yeah, and not by design necessarily. The NESCAC tells us who we're going to play and when we're going to play and where, but I think the expectations are that we're going to compete to win a NESCAC championship, or we're going to try to compete to win a national championship. And, where that factors in and what that all means 3 months from now, who the heck knows? But we believe in this program with the players that we're recruiting that we should be competitive for both of those targets. We want to be in the NESCAC playoffs competing for that championship, and we want to be in the NCAA tournament competing for that championship. Beyond that, we truly just try to dumb it down and break it down day by day, and just try to win each game as it comes. And I think that's the formula for success, is just trying to go. I've said this before, but just trying to go 1-0 on the day. And when you finish the regular season, you see where that all factors in, and hopefully you get that bid up, for the NCAA tournament, and then you have new life and attempt to do that. But our program has changed a lot. We certainly have lost a lot of the names that you would recognize within our program. And that being said, I think we still have really good players, and we're going to be very competitive.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I was looking at your roster earlier. You're losing some great ball players, and I'll mention those. But to me, it's just like you're just reloading. You're not even. It's not a loss, but maybe an opportunity to start looking a little different and playing a little different, right? Just be based on the guys that I sort of recognize, at least their clubs, what they're capable of doing. So, and speaking of, you're bringing in. I saw the roster today. You have 8 incoming freshmen. Special shout out to the Pingree and PDA alum who I know, and my son played with, Danny Yanez. But what are your thoughts on that class, and sort of what do you have any? Again, I'm still trying to figure out, like, how much of an impact does an incoming class have on a program, and sort of what are your thoughts on getting these guys, and how much do you think they're going to have an opportunity to contribute come game time?
Yeah, I think the Pingree piece. We like New Jersey guys. This program has had a lot of success with guys from New Jersey in the past, and so it's certainly an area we will continue to go back and recruit from. And somewhere that we'll spend some time for sure. But I think, for a first year, my track record is if they're good enough, I'll play them. I tend to, I think a lot of times as coaches, we tend to lean on our own experiences. And I was very, very fortunate to have started the first game of my college career as a freshman at Middlebury College. And again, it was 20 years ago. And I think the players are a lot better and things are a lot more competitive than they were 20 years ago.
They're not better than me. Never. Exactly. No.
Exactly. But I still have that in mind that, I remember I got to start with mostly juniors and seniors my freshman year. And so, how many of our incoming guys will actually start? Maybe one or two, or throughout the course of the season, maybe 3 or 4, because we play a lot of games. We play back-to-back games, and our depth has been a key to this program and will continue to be a key to our success. Is we have 25 good college soccer players on our roster, and so we'll utilize that. But where they factor in, I don't know. I think that's up to them and how much work they've put in. And I think a big piece is how confident do they arrive? Do they feel like they're ready for college soccer? And I think that is one thing. And again, leaning on my own experience that I was fortunate enough to have as a student athlete, is just I reiterate to the guys throughout the summer, like, don't come in your freshman year and just think you're just going to sit on the bench and you're just going to train and you're just going to be okay with that. That may be what happens ultimately. But that shouldn't be your goal. Come in and, from day one of preseason, be out there trying to compete and trying to win playing time and see if you can get in that starting lineup. And, college soccer is a unique game, so you don't necessarily need to be in the starting lineup to still play a lot.
Play
18, 19, 20 guys a game. And so I think some of the guys will factor in. I'm sure they will. But it's often, not the ones necessarily.
Not the ones you expect, right.
Our best freshman last year was Ethan Fagan, and we almost didn't recruit him. So, things can change and guys just arrive. And I think confidence plays such a big role in that. Because all the guys are good enough. That's why they were recruited, and they'll eventually be good enough. But it's the guys that come in confident and humble and willing to work and defend and run and be a team player, all those things. So it's hard to say, but I'm sure that some of the first years will impact whether or not we're successful this season.
Yeah. It's interesting that what you say about confidence, because simple player number 2 was at a Messiah camp this past weekend, and they were playing sort of like 11v11s and rotating against 4 teams, and one of the teams was kind of stacked with some Messiah players, and aside from speed and sort of the technical ability of those guys, which was ridiculous, you could just tell when they stepped on the field, they had a level of confidence where these high school kids were, I don't want to say intimidated, but you could just tell they were a little bit more passive and not feeling like, I own this place. Those guys walked on the field, and it was like you knew those guys. And I think that is true. Like, for a freshman coming in, if you could tell them one thing, that's what they need to carry. Like, you come in because you own the field, right? And if you play like that, that's when you sort of jump up the depth chart. But if you're going to be some guy who's sort of like, I don't know, you're going to be number 30 on the roster just because so many other guys who are ready.
Yeah, and obviously Messiah's an amazing program, amazing players, but there's just they're good players. There's the confidence is just it's not fake. They're not trying to be cool. I think a lot of times high school kids try to be cool and cocky and they
almost like a fake bravado, right? Like, hey, look at me. Like, no. These guys just own it. They know. Yeah. Hey, on the other side, I noticed, like, I was looking at these guys and I was like, holy smokes! Like, you graduated or graduating 9 seniors that I know of: Calvin Arrow, Medicano, Biagio Pauletta, and Travis Van Brewer, who, that one of my favorite guys. All of those guys are just outstanding, but Travis was particularly special for me. But maybe we talked about this a little bit, but how do you compensate for that? Like, I look at that and I'm like, wow, I'm saying normal teams could be devastated if they had quality players like that and they all graduate, and then suddenly there's this huge vacuum. How to fill it at Tufts, and sort of your experience, how do you fill that, or has that sort of already been a process that you've been doing?
Well, you fill it with other really good players who just haven't got as many opportunities because they've played behind those guys. I mean, hopefully hopefully everyone else out there thinks we're going to stink because we just lost those guys.
Yeah.
You can't replace them. Like Mati Kano had an amazing senior season, and Derek Enge's another one who was was one of our captains and just an amazing captain. So his leadership's going to be missed. But like those three names that you mentioned, like Calvin Arrow, Biagio Paletta, Travis Van Brewer. I've been in Division III soccer for 20 years. Like guys, I mean, they're three of probably the top 100 Division III soccer players
ever. Absolutely, hands down.
Two national.
Yep.
They left here as the best Tufts players ever. 2 national championships, 3 NESCAC championship. Like you can't replace them. But we also have other really good players that are ready for that opportunity. And you always forget, like Cabanero sat on the bench a bunch when he was a freshman, and Biagio pretty much sat on the bench when he was a freshman, and Travis probably played the most, I think, when he was a freshman. But at some point, like they were unknowns too, and so there's always guys, and it's going to be about taking which guys can take that opportunity and really just step up. But I mean, it's daunting that those guys are gone, but I also think it gives a program and a team a little bit new life. Like they knew, we knew last year who were going to be the leaders and who we were going to lean on. And when the big moments came or like something had to be decided, you knew who was going to make that decision. And now it's a little bit more, more exciting in certain ways because we don't know exactly how our leadership will factor in and what the structure will be and which guys will step up and which guys will be the guy on game day that performs and provides the big moment, because it's it's not going to be Calvin heading in the ball in the 109th minute. It's got to be somebody else, and that just is what it is. So I mean it's daunting, but like players graduate. They move on in life, and it's how it goes. And Tufts has been, for a decade, this thing's been rolling pretty well. And, Tufts won national championships in 2014 and 2016, and none of those players were part of those teams. So our hope is that we don't, our hope is we don't take a step down. That's certainly not our goal. I think there'll be some learning lessons along the way. I don't think our goal is to go undefeated. We're certainly not going to go undefeated. We're going to lose some games, and we're going to have to bounce back and see how resilient we are. And but I'm incredibly excited. I think we have a number of really good players that are going to step up and do amazing things for us as well.
I don't like I said, you guys are different. I mean, I talked to you and it's definitely, but those guys to me are just some of the best that I've ever watched at this level. And it is true, like to a certain extent, it's an opportunity, right? Like, and you see that even at the professional level, but every team, I don't want to say, there's almost like this healthy refresh in college soccer, right? Which is outside of the athletics, right? They're just graduating and moving on. And it does open up an opportunity for you to be different and to, like I said, get new players in there who are probably, whoever steps in for those guys, they're probably going to be ecstatic, right? Like, and just the responsibility and like, it's my turn now. And I think that's really healthy, but, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and we did it. We made a deliberate decision last year to play the NESCAC tournament without a bunch of guys because they were bordering on injuries that could, potentially keep them out of the NCAA tournament. So we played a bunch of the younger guys and won a NESCAC championship. And so, I was the jerk of the coach who then put some of those guys back on the bench for the NCAA tournament, which is a terrible decision and like tough spot, very, very tough spot to be in. But we have guys that are so hungry and ready and are going to step up to the plate.
I would say, it's Ant's endurance. Like you have this ongoing competitive cauldron that guys just wait for their opportunity, right? And then when they do get that opportunity, it's like, to them, almost in their head, it's like it's now or never. And so they're so amped up for it. And I just think, like I said, for you guys, that's almost like a blessing, right? Yeah, graduate some, but man, we got these guys who are just itching to get on the field.
Yeah.
And so of the upperclassmen that you have, who do you think you need? I don't want to say need. That's not the right word. But who are you expecting, or who are you looking to step up to? Like I said, maybe it's not a void, but maybe it's a gap. Like who are you feeling? Who are you looking to step into that gap?
Yeah, well, I think we're still dealing with isn't the right term, benefiting from guys having extra seasons because of the COVID year. And
Mm-hmm.
so, we have some guys coming back. Ian Daly's coming back for a fifth year.
Wow,
Aiden Welsh
that's
is coming
huge.
back for a fifth year. Yeah,
Huge.
that's obviously a big one. He's one of the best players in the country, I think.
Yeah.
And Aiden Welsh is remarkable. He was an ROTC student here, and he's beginning Tufts med school. He actually began Tufts med school last week, and
Wow.
he's going to attempt to play college soccer while going to become a doctor. We'll see how that goes, but if anyone can do it, Aiden Welsh can do it. And Zach Siegelstein, who has been the guy with boatloads of potential early in his career, and then last year unfortunately suffered a ton of injuries and a concussion that kept him out in the middle of the season. He's a guy that arguably has the potential, and people have said, like, at times has been Tufts' best player, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so we're hopeful that he can regain that form and that confidence and be injury free this year. So those guys will be very big for us. And then some of the guys who are, I don't even know what to call them because they're seniors, but they're juniors and they're going to play 2 more years. So Sean Trainer, Ruben Shin, guys like that. Who have kind of been, Sean Trainer's been the guy, like, we know how good he is and how dangerous he is, but most teams are probably focused on Maticano last year.
Yeah.
So I think both Sean Trainer, Ruben Shin should have big years, and we have a midfielder that hasn't played a ton, named Eric Ingersoll, who will be a fifth-year senior as well. He's a very talented player who just hasn't got a ton of opportunity because of the guys that were in front of him. So we've got guys, and we'll see how they all factor in and step up, and then we have that other next class that are juniors academically, but only sophomores. I think Max Clivio is one of the best defenders in the NESCAC, and he's gonna. I think he should have a pretty special year. And so we have some guys. I look forward to seeing which guys step up.
Yeah. I will. Ian Daly to me is on the short list for Division III Player of the Year. I think he's probably one of the best out there, like if not the best. And I think it all comes down to how the season goes and all that sort of stuff. But absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the coolest thing about Ian is if you praise him, he shies away from he thinks he stinks. He's incredibly humble, and he's like, at the end of the day, I'm a Division III soccer player. I think that's what makes him so special.
Yeah.
He has no ego to his soccer at all. He's competitive, and he thinks he should win. He maybe has some confidence towards winning.
Yeah.
But as far as being a soccer player, if I ever praise him publicly, he's like, get away. Get out of here with that.
That's interesting. Because I'm the total opposite, right? I can't play anymore, but I think I'm the greatest player since sliced bread. So, okay, so you mentioned it. You open with MIT, and then you go. I think it's maybe like 5 days later. You start NESCAC with Connecticut College. You jump right in, right? So there's maybe those 2 weeks now that you have could be pretty significant, right? Because, again, MIT is not going to roll over for you guys.
Yeah. MIT's, I know they in the end last year didn't get the wins that they needed to get an at-large bid. They just lost important games against ranked teams. But we opened with MIT last year. Is one of the coolest games I've ever been a part of. It was the first game, at Tufts, first athletic event in 2 years. There were 1,500 people there.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was what every game was going to be like. And it was a Wednesday afternoon in 45 and rain is a little different for sure in Division III. But no, MIT's a really good team. I would expect MIT will be an NCAA tournament team this year. I'd be surprised if they're not anyway. Who knows how things play out.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great game for us prior to playing Con College because MIT wants to have the ball. They want to play, similarly to how Connecticut wants to have the ball. And, I think it's, really, really good prep for us to – but you can't even call it prep. I think every game is important. So, no, our schedule is I mean, I think we go MIT, Con College, Wesleyan,
and Amherst Williams.
in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first
Cool.
12 days of the
Yeah.
season, something
Easy.
like that.
You got this.
But if and I know you've been talking to other coaches about this. It seems like everyone is challenging themselves with schedule now, and the ticket into the NCAA tournament seems to be strength of schedule, and then obviously you have to win a bunch of those games or some of those games. And so for us, a lot of the strength of schedule is just built into the NESCAC schedule because there's going to be 5 of the top 20 teams in the country are going to be in our conference. So we still try to challenge ourselves with teams like Babson and MIT and some others. I think I would guess we're limited in the NESCAC to only playing 15 games, but you would think there's probably 6 or 7 NCAA tournament teams on our schedule.
Yeah,
so
easily.
But some really good early season tests, and you can look at it either as this is going to be really hard or just what an incredible opportunity. I mean, that 5-game stretch to open our season, like, holy cow! If we started 4-1 or 5-0 or 3-2, like, we're in a good spot. We start 0-5 or 1-4 or 2-3. Now we have to dig ourselves out of a hole. But it is what it is. We truly will take each game as it comes, and I think MIT is a great first game for us, because if we're not really good, nearly perfect on that day, we'll lose.
If you're not ready, it'll show, right? Like, in other words, if you're not ready, they're that quality of a program that they will exploit your weakness, right? And whatever that might be.
We have a great we have a great preseason game on August 28th, so we'll know what our weaknesses are very much. So.
Can I ask who you play?
Yeah, we're playing Harvard. So the previous Tuft coach, John Shapiro, is the Harvard coach, and obviously a good friend of mine, and very supportive of our program. So we're going to get a good test against Harvard on August 28th. Harvard, I expect to be, much improved, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Harvard making some noise in Division I this year.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Especially the way the Ivies work, like it flips. Year over year, it just sort of flips around crazily like no other conference. All right, so just in terms of your schedule, what are the ones that you've sort of marked, triple circled, big black Sharpie? Is there any of those games that that are sort of like these are pivotal? What? Psychologically or whatever.
I think there's games. This is hard because as a coach, like, the only game I care about, quite frankly, right now is MIT. But I know that players. I was a player, and I remember the big games in my mind, and our alumni certainly circle some games on their calendar, and we get bigger crowds in those. And certainly for us, obviously Connecticut College, we had the 3-game series with them last year, and they ended up winning a national championship. Amherst is always going to be a big game for Tufts, and Amherst is always going to be, those have been 2 of the best programs in the country for the last decade. Middlebury for me, selfishly, is where I went to school, so that's a big game for me, and they've been really, really good. But I think Babson is a local rivalry as well, and Babson is another one of those non-conference teams. I wouldn't be surprised to see Babson in a Sweet 16 or around that level this year. I think they're really talented. So there are some games for sure. I think the key to ultimately having a successful season is not circling any games. Players focus on the next game that's on your schedule. But I mean, you can't be a player at Tufts and not be really ready for the Amherst game, the game, the Concord game, the Williams game. Like, there's just so many.
And for you guys, your schedule, it's almost like you circle the whole season, right? Because it's you every one of those games is a big deal. I always say that this is the question that, at some point another coach is watching and puts your quotes and, they talked about us, and puts it on the motivation board in their locker room. So, hey, last question, and I'll let you get on with your day and sort of prepping for preseason, but I've been asking What do you asking coaches? What do you think your ahead of this season? What do you think your greatest team challenge is? And I'm not so much the other teams and who you're facing, but those things that you think can make or break how your program or how your team performs throughout the season. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think it just gets back to the previous question of just our play. I mean, truly, we lost three. I'm a bunch of really good players, but like three iconic Division III level, talented soccer players. So I think it's that, and it's just having the confidence and knowing that we have other guys that are going to step up. But how quickly we establish who those other guys are, and then there's always there's then that burden and that tricky part and that pressure of how do those guys handle it when all of a sudden it should be them who's providing who are providing those big moments. So I think that will be key for us. Like the reality is Travis, Biagio, Calvin, Mati, Derek, all those guys, like they're gone. And so it's just overcoming that quickly. I think we were really lucky the NESCAC allowed us a spring season last year, so I believe we've already done that. But I also know that when we were in overtime last year, if we could play a ball to Calvin Arrow in the final third or to his head on a free kick, like that's
aim for the big guy.
Exactly. And so I think it's just how quickly we just move on. That's unfortunately, for better or worse, it's kind of what you have to do. You just have to move on and obviously respect and appreciate what those guys have done. And I'm sure there'll be great alumni in the stands this year cheering for us. But just how quickly we move on and see which other guys do step up and hopefully there's pressure when you become the guy, and obviously those players thrived on that pressure. They wanted it, and I think we have other guys. You need guys who want to be that person in those big moments to have success at the highest level and trying to win NESCAC championships and NCAA tournaments and things. So it's just seeing which guys step up and which guys kind of want that pressure and want that opportunity. And again, like we've talked about, we're going to be tested if we are not ready. I mean, our schedule is so strong. Like we could be 0-5 12 days into our season if we're not ready for the season.
Actually, this wasn't the last question because I just thought of another one because of talking to Jay Martin from Ohio Wesleyan. He said his biggest issue is the weight of the jersey. Do you have any experience with that there? Have you noticed that the Tufts jersey can be kind of heavy on guys?
Yeah, we felt it, not in the regular season at all last year, but we felt it once we got to the national tournament. Because it felt like, obviously with the success, the program was coming off back-to-back national championships, 4 in the last 6, whatever it is. So, but I mean, I think that's a positive part of a program that's had this success, and so that's how I look at it, certainly. But there's a reality to that weight, for sure. I mean, if you look, like we were tied in the first round of the NCAA tournament with 15 minutes left in the game, and then we were in penalties the next round, and then we won in overtime. We were kind of barreling our way through the NCAA tournament and just surviving. And I don't think we were playing our best. And so that's on me as a coach to figure out how to keep guys fresh and free and happy. And I think having fun is a major component to that, and remembering to have fun. And like at the end of the day, it truly is a Division III college soccer game. Like when you drive 2 miles away, like no one even knows the game. And so I think it's important to remember that. And we take it very seriously. I always want our players and our coaches to take our jobs very seriously, but not ourselves too seriously. And so I think having fun and remembering to enjoy training, enjoy games, enjoy that you have a chance every time the whistle blows to win or lose, and that just is what it is. And you want that a little bit of pressure, but for sure there's a weight of the past. And I think for us, just Tufts has done a really good job of not being burdened by that and not being weighed down by that, and so that's on me as a coach and our staff to make sure that doesn't become burdensome to our team and our players.
Like I said, I was looking at your jacket, which by the way, XL, really nice. The 4 stars, like I'm like, wow, they see that every time. Anyhow, just a really. It's something I've been thinking about. Like, there are programs, right? I mean, it's like any program national team. Like, you put on a jersey, certain jerseys, are just like, are not that big of a deal, but, and they should be regardless of performance, but you guys especially, like I said, the Stars and Ohio Wesleyan, the same thing. I mean, there's certain programs that, this has got to be, and like you said, definitely something I would rather that than not. You know what I mean? Like, wow, this is, if you're putting on some, NASA t-shirt, I don't know, like just something generic, it doesn't do anything for you. One of the clubs around here, it's not that big of a deal. But I would rather it be something like, oh my gosh, this is such an honor. But
and I think it has an impact, and you hope it has an impact. You hope your players in the summer are going, oh man, our program's 1-4-0. Like, we need to get back there, so we're going to work incredibly hard, and we're going to challenge ourselves. So I think it also helps your it can certainly hurt, but I personally believe it helps more than it hurts, and it helps in recruiting. And so again, yes, there is weight to it, but I think the benefits far outweigh the negatives for sure.
All right, Coach. Hey, I really do appreciate you taking the time. This is, like I said, this is a highlight for me today, and really enjoy talking to you. And the next time I'm up there, I'll definitely. I mean, that Harvard game is not too far away, and that might be something that even just to watch, I'd love to get up there and watch one of your games. So, but really do appreciate you taking the time today.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you got it. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for continuing to do it. I enjoy watching all the other ones and learning from the other coaches too. So I appreciate what you do for Division III soccer, and hopefully in 10 years there's 10 of you and 10 different channels, and it's even bigger.
I'm okay with being a trailblazer. So jump in. The water's fine. I keep telling people, and like, it's funny. For me. Like, I'm still amazed at watching. So I watched some of the old games. I know this is getting weird, but like, I watched some of the games in the past, and I'm like, wow, there's some really, really great soccer. At that Messiah camp, I was watching some of those guys, some of the Messiah players, and I was like, it's just a level. Like, you're like, you want to see in that sort of level, like that's what you can achieve. Like, it's just remarkable. So I'll keep doing this. You guys make me come back, I'm like, I don't know. Get the hats I got to wear now. I got to figure out a reason why to wear, like, the 50 some odd of hats I have from all these college programs. So, anyhow, all right, Coach. Best of luck to you and your men. I'll be following, obviously, and hopefully we can talk before then. Hopefully I could get up there for a game. Come down to New Jersey and play at some point. Come on.
Sounds great. I would love to. The NESCAC limits us in terms of what we're able to actually do with our 15 games and starting rate and all that. But someday.
All right, very well. Good. Thanks.
Thanks.